everyone. Welcome to the Request for Proposal Event Sponsorship Q&A info session. My name is Trina Bizzardi, and I am joined by my colleagues here. We'll share a bit about who we are in a minute, but first, I want to share all questions will be reviewed and answered at the end of the session. Feel free to drop those in the chat and we'll answer them at the end of the session. So again, my name is Trina Bizzardi. I'm the Senior Program Officer here at NAVSA. I am Navajo from southwestern part of Navajo Nation. And I'm joined by my colleagues here. Caitlin.
Bonjour, everyone. I'm Caitlin. I am Anishinaabe. I'm a direct descendant of the Fond du Lac Band, Lake Superior Chippewa, and I am the Upper Midwest Indigenous Seakeepers Network Coordinator. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mireya Blanco. I am located in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm Rata Marie and Apache. My family is from Chihuahua, Mexico, and New Mexico. I am the Southwest Indigenous Seakeeper Coordinator here at NAVSA. And that's just all about me. Thank you.
All right, wonderful. So our mission here at NAVSA is we believe in empowering communities as they foster traditional Indigenous food practices to ensure sustained well-being for our future generations. And our vision here is we envision a future where Indigenous people exercise their inherent right to self-determination, fully controlling their traditional foodways, rooted in our ancestral knowledge. We strive to ensure the persistence of food security, cultural continuity, and environmental sustainability. Again, if you're joining us a little after the hour, we are here to answer any questions that you have for the RFP event proposal that is now open to you all. We are funded by generous support from the Novo, Abrams, and CS Fund. Our awards range from $5,000 to $30,000. So that really just depends on the impact and whatever you supply in that RFP. So it could range between those two numbers. And here we'll go through the eligibility criteria. So in the RFP, you saw this list, but here it's important that we are prioritizing the strong impact and support in food events that are happening, food sovereignty events that are happening in Native communities. So federally recognized Native American tribes and organizations are encouraged to apply. Nonprofit organizations with a strong focus on Native American food sovereignty. Individuals with established or growing partnerships focused on food sovereignty and community wellness in tribal communities. So that could look like tribal governments, tribal nations, work in those arenas. A good example of that could be a tribal program within a tribal government. Community groups with a fiscal sponsor. So you might be a community group that is working with a fiscal sponsor. You may not have the nonprofit status yet, but you do utilize someone to receive your funds. Those are okay in a commitment with a strong commitment to food security and cultural preservation in tribal communities. Tribal colleges are encouraged to apply, especially those that are working in agriculture, nutrition, or cultural preservation. Scope of work, what we expect is an event outline from you, how you plan to spend the funds, what is the layer of community impact, what are your plans there, what are your plans for partnership and collaboration, and then how do you plan to monitor and how you plan to evaluate your event. We want to see all that. That leads me to the sponsorship objectives. So in the RFP, this might be a little bit ambiguous, but we ask that you select at least one of these. Right now we have a list of 7, so we want to see how you are creating that impact. So here you can select it, highlight it in your RFP, and then elaborate more in your proposal. We'll go into the next steps of what the criteria and what we expect in the package and RFP proposal, but this one you just need to select one. Yes, you can select 2, you can select 3, but we want to see you clearly articulate how you're going to carry those out. And also with this one, the partnerships and collaboration, selecting at least one here. You can select more than one, but again, just making sure we're being clear about how we are carrying out each of those components. Proposal requirements. Right here, we have some questions asking if we can fund people. So maybe you are hiring a workshop presenter. That's fine, but we are not supporting travel. So if you're offering travel stipends for people to get to your event, it does not cover that. We don't allow funding to go toward lobbying, entertainment, capital construction projects. It says funding of individuals. This is saying like funding an outside entity to help support your event. This is funding consulting, funding things in that arena. But if you are funding a workshop presenter that is going to do tangible work at the event, those are allowable. So just be very specific there. And development campaigns, endowments are not allowed. Scholarships or tuition assistance are not allowed. This is where the travel stipend falls under. We are not allowing travel stipends right now. And another frequent question we're getting is, does the event have to take place this year? Yes, it does. You will be notified between June 5th and June 15th if you are selected for the award. After that, we have a couple of things we need to work through and required paperwork. So the beginning of your project should take place between July 1st and December 31st. We have a few questions regarding my event will not be taking place this year. It'll take place in the spring. That kind of event is not supported by this funds this year. So I would get strategic about how you approach that. We ask questions like, can a series take place? Yes, if it's leading to an overarching goal. If you have series of workshops, speakers that are leading up to the bigger event or planning, all those are acceptable. Just making sure that those events take place again before December 31st of this year. So thinking about your package here, what is required? Well, in the cover letter, briefly introduce your organization and the proposal event. The event description, provide a detailed description of the event, including objectives, outcomes, and alignment with the NAFSA's mission. So I would definitely hone in on your alignment with our mission here at NAFSA. And right here, earlier I mentioned you have to select at least one community impact and one partnership in collaboration. Right here, you also need to elaborate on and clearly outline how the event will promote food sovereignty and cultural preservation, along with your selection from the list from earlier, you have to select at least one community impact and one partnership and collaboration. We really want to see how you're working with others and how you're building partnerships to expand your work and food sovereignty, and and thinking about also intergenerational impact. Are you involving elders? Are you involving youth? We really would like to see that diverse approach. And going down into the budget and funding request, we really want to see how you're going to spend that money, break it down clearly to us. And again, I want to stress that we are not allowing payments to consulting, outside event planning. We really want to see this very grassroots within community efforts in these proposals. And again, outlining how you plan to monitor and report. We have expectations of how a few items that we want reported. Those are forthcoming if you are selected. But as far as your program and events go, we want to see how you're evaluating. If you're providing a pre and post survey, maybe you're taking testimonies, but we want to see what your event attendees, what they took out of your event and how this funding impacted your event and the people and participants. And here are very important deadlines. So the submission is around the corner, May 9th by 11:59 Mountain Standard or Pacific. Those are one and the same right now. Submission format, required to put it in a PDF document. Email it to myself. There is my email, and Maria is also going to share that in the chat. I also want to add, if you have further lingering questions after this webinar, please feel free. I have an open door on Monday, this coming Monday on April 28th, where our team will be there at 12 p.m. in this Zoom space. Maria will share that in the chat as well. But this is another opportunity to get your questions further answered. So I want to leave that for you all. And then we are selecting RFPs by June 5th. And you will be notified within 10 days of June 5th. So again, if you want to follow up with us, please refrain until June 5th, and then we'll be able to communicate further about our final decisions. This is an amendment to the RFP, so that will be updated. But in the proposal, the numbers were off a bit, and that is my oversight. So these are the current evaluation criteria. The only change is that the partnership and collaboration is supposed to be at 20%, but I think I put 10 or 15%. So these are all updated. So again, this will really help you, I think, narrow down your RFP with strong focus on the top 4. But again, evaluation methods is still not very too far off from 25 and 15%. So I would definitely, just keep the whole RFP a well-rounded submission. We are definitely going to look at every component. So again, telling your story and sharing with us your outcome and what you hope to, how you hope the participants are going to gain not just knowledge, but how is this going to impact the community and the folks involved. So that is the updated evaluation criteria. Feel free to take a picture, but again, Maria is taking a glimpse of everything and throwing it in the chat. With that said, that was very, I think, quick because we want to dive into the questions now. If there's anything you need me to go Further on in more detail, please feel free to drop it in the chat, but we are welcoming questions now. We'll be on the call for quite a minute if you guys need any further insight. Again, thank you. We encourage your RFPs. Please get them in by May 9th, and we will review them with good intentions, good heart, and really look at each RFP individually and with grace. Thank you. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, so one question that I don't think has been covered is, does the funding allow, or maybe you can just say more about it, does the funding allow for covering teachers' fees and stipends or stipends for traditional knowledge holders to share their teachings?
Yes, you went into a little more detail. It does cover like workshop presenters, traditional knowledge holders, the stipends for them. Again, just kind of yes. So yes, it does cover that. I think one area I would like to stress is that we don't want all the funding to support stipends, right? We really want to see the impact very nicely layered. So whether that's supplies, food, getting them, just supporting your mission that is aligned with ours, that's okay too. So a well-rounded application.
All right, and then someone asked, does this RFP apply for urban native communities?
Yes, it does. I think one area, if you look at the criteria, it does lean toward federally recognized. If you're a nonprofit that focuses on a tribal community, and maybe you are a nonprofit or a community program in the urban area, that's fine. But I think we really want to see you clearly articulate that you are serving Native people, Indigenous people within your area. What does that look like? I think that's what we want to see.
All right, and then another question, are communities and organizations in Mexico eligible?
That's a great question. We are prioritizing organizations and communities in on Turtle Island right now within the United States. So as of right now, no. However, I would encourage folks in those arenas to really start to engage with communities within the United States, and build that partnership. And I think if they can go in and apply for these funds in partnership with you, in something like that, I think those are okay. But we do ask that the applicant be from the United States.
Thanks, Trina. And then next, maybe you can elaborate more. Can funding be used for workshops leading up to a big event?
Yes, yes. Please very structure it in a way that those workshops are building, right? They're building off each other and they're all cohesive. And if you have a final big event that is taking place at the end of these workshops, even better. But if you present it as a series and building up to it, I think those are fine. Workshops are definitely fine. Again, if you're making sure that those participants are from our communities. I think that, and what they're learning is food sovereignty related, restoration, seed sharing, traditional knowledge, all those things are important. So yes.
Great. And then just moving right along, because we have quite a few. Can you share more about what NAFSA will consider for individuals submitting an application?
Good question. Individuals submitting an application, again, I think it goes back to the two pillars that we listed. Um, I'll go back to Maria, could you please post the asterisk, the list of community impact and partnership and collaboration to the chat? Going back to that as an individual, yes, as long as individuals can apply, just be clear and articulate how you are addressing those lists. Whichever one you choose, we are looking at individual applications too.
Okay, and then someone's wondering if there's a page limit or word count limit for the RFP, or if there's a certain format you want us to follow. And similarly, do we have a sample RFP that we can share as an example?
So in the requirements section is I would use your outline. I use that to outline your RFP. Right now, there's no page count or word count. But again, don't go into 20 pages, but just keep it clear and concise and convey your story and your mission. I would use the requirements as your outline for this proposal.
Okay, and then another simple question, is there a limit to how many applications one organization can submit?
There is not a limit. Um, yeah, we know there is not a limit. Good question. There's not a limit. Again, we'll see what of those three, say you submit three, we'll see what of those three applications that actually move forward into our final rounds. But again, there's no limit.
Thank you. And then someone has an example of what they're thinking of planning. So they're looking to hold a convening and provide food for participants from native caterers that grow their own ingredients. Is that something that would be allowed?
Definitely, I think with that kind of event, definitely elaborate on who is attending, who is your audience, because when it comes to knowledge sharing like that, we want to make sure that our relatives are the ones that are learning and most impacted. Um, and it's great to hire Indigenous experts. So I mean, it sounds like it is a good fit. I would just elaborate more on your impact and your audience.
Okay, well, this is another good question. So someone's wondering about, I think, sales at their event. So they're wondering if they can charge event attendees or if they have value-added products that they're wanting to sell. Is that something that's allowed?
Oh, okay. So we're supporting your event. So when you breaking down your budget, you'll share with us exactly how the money will be spent. So it will not support the purchase of the products that you will be selling. It will not support commerce. So in that sense, like you are allowed to do what you want with your event as long as it aligns with NAPS's mission. And then the money that if you are selected, the money that you are receiving is properly allocated. And we'll see that. Just propose how you spend the money in the budget. Again, we don't support the purchase of products that will be sold. Feel free to sell at your event. Again, just put that in the budget.
All right. And someone just clarifying again, is a tribal institute at a university allowed to apply?
A tribal institute. Again, back to your audience, who is involved with your program. We do like to support tribal colleges and universities with a strong, Native student population. Who is your audience? I think you got to share that with us. If you are, thinking of having I know some universities, they have like an Indigenous bash where they're gathering Native students, Indigenous students to participate in different cultural events. Like if it's something like that, and then food sovereignty is tied into there as a stronghold, those applicants are fine. Again, I think it goes back to your audience. Um, who is attending, who is the most impacted, things like that.
Okay, I think this one you would answer with the presentation, but we can just repeat it so it's clear. Can funding be used to hire an outside consultant or group to help coordinate the event?
The answer is no, it cannot. It will support the funding of a speaker, cultural knowledge holder, storyteller, community member who is presenting on a skill, speaker. It will not support any consulting fees. Um, in in a case where an organization is a community organization that does not identify as a nonprofit 501(c)(3. In that case, they have a fiscal sponsor. The fiscal sponsor normally, they have a charge of like 2%, 3% for them to receive funding. In that case, it is allowed, but again, that is only in the case that a community organization has to pay a fiscal sponsor a fee to receive money. Other than that, we are not paying consultants. This is to be used for really strong event organization, speaker, capacity building, impact, and grassroots planning, community-based programs. Yeah. So we hope you plan it and we aren't supporting consulting fees.
Okay, and then a follow-up to the question about folks applying from Mexico. They're wondering, can someone apply for their community or organization in Mexico as long as someone's part of the org has U.S. citizenship? Oh, that went away, but and yes, okay. And then yeah, if that person has more clarity, if I didn't say that right, feel free to repeat the question if I wasn't clear.
The impact of the programs, the audience again, who you're serving, primarily we're focused on the impact in the United States or in this area. So great, unique way to approach it. What I'm honing in on is that you partner with an organization that has a strong hold in the United States that is serving people in the United States right now. Um, and they may partner with you in that you may be part of their event, but they would have to be the sole applicant all the way around.
Thanks, Trina. And then thanks for the patience for the person that was waiting, but we had someone that wanted to unmute and share a question. Would that be a good time, or would now be a good time for that, Trina?
Yeah. Do we have that capability?
Yeah, I want to say back end, yes.
If you raise your hand and then we can, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Raise your hand and we can allow you to talk.
Hi, can you hear me? Hi, Hatzla Hill. My name is Azure Bore. Sorry. I was just asking if I'm trying to host a large event, if an outside consultation group, part of that could go towards hiring them to help me organize the event. So around here we have Tahoma Peaks. It's a woman-owned outside consultation place that helps organize conferences, symposiums, and it's all around food sovereignty.
Yes, I hear you. Again, this grant is not to support the payment toward consulting firms. What we hope is that these funds will go to organizations and groups and communities that will be the leaders in the event.
Great. I just wanted to confirm. I
No problem.
just so I know for sure. I had inferred that, but I just wanted to make sure. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
All right. Do we have any other questions, Caitlin?
I think we have all the ones that I've seen come through. Okay, I'm not sure what this acronym is, but Sierra, would I be able to share about the GFF event? And I'm sorry, I'm not sure what GFF stands for. Are you familiar with Good Food Finder? Are you just hoping to share details of the event with this group, Sierra? Maybe we'll clarify in the chat here. Apologies.
Oh, yes. Can you guys hear me? All right, perfect. So I work with a local nonprofit known as Local First Arizona, and we have this annual event known as the Good Food Finder event. It brings together a lot of the local business entrepreneurs, and especially the ones that are doing green work, you know, and having healthy ways of even getting revenue, growing, marketing, just and then keeping things local. So last year we had our very first Indigenous foodways track during our Good Food Finder, and it was a hit. However, we didn't have that much funding, so we couldn't really go all out like we wanted to. So we were hoping that maybe we could apply for a grant to support the Indigenous track, and that would be it would be composed of two panelists, one on what is food, you know, talking about how the food has been changing over ages amongst indigenous peoples and tribes, and then going on to a little food exchange where it's just like the exchange of knowledge, talking about the laws, the policies, and even just restoring the kinship routes of food that has gone across to different tribes, and then the roadmaps from food outside of reservation, inside reservation, and how that all works. And then lastly, we would finish it up with a workshop, a seed exchange workshop, where we would teach them how to make a sustainable kind of makeshift pots that they can take home with them, that they can put their seeds in. This was just something we wanted to talk about to see if maybe we could receive funding, if that was even allowed, you know, to just kind of host this type of event and track, if that was aligning with all of the values, which I think I'm for me, I think it does, but I want to hear your feedback and if that does align with all your criteria and eligibility.
It does sound like it aligns. I would definitely hone in on like the partnerships that you have, and especially the ones that the people that are attending, and that it is hosted and put on for Native people. And yeah, I would definitely highlight how those partnerships are being laid out and the impact of your event.
Okay, and then I'm so sorry, but the one thing was we wanted panelists to come out, and a lot of our panelists are small farmers. They make less than $20,000 a year, and we wanted to try and do stipends, but I know like that's kind of an issue. Is there a way I could like have the verbiage to have them as cultural advisors and speakers?
Yeah, Definitely, I think like we said, they can receive like a stipend honorarium if you put that in there. We've had that before. We just won't be supporting travel per se. We're not what they choose to use with their stipend is up to them, but we won't necessarily be supporting travel stipends or scholarships. It'll be honoring their time and commitment to your event.
Okay, perfect. Thank you guys all so much for the information. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Sierra. Cool. Do we have other questions?
All right, we
One
have,
more. Yeah, you got it, Caitlin. Cool.
yes, I saw the mushrooms, I bet. So would mushrooms and yeah, learning about soil, how mushrooms help, and wild harvesting mushrooms, and showing the different types, but also taking a group out to harvest, would that be covered? I think that's a simple answer, right, Trina? But is there more you could say about that?
No, I mean, again, I think who is your audience, right? Who is participating and things like that. It sounds like a really great event, just honing on who your audience is. Who do you plan to take out there? Like if you're planning to take out Native youth, even better, you know? If you're elaborating on maybe traditional practices, even better. So again, it goes back to your audience.
Yeah, so they are clarifying in the chat, tribal communities, youth, middle-aged, and elders if they can. So sounds like a yes.
Wonderful. Well, thank you everyone for your time and your questions. We look forward to reading your proposals. And again on Monday, Maria, could you please share it in the chat one more time? The drop-in call. So we have another time for you all to ask more questions. Monday, the 28th. Maria will drop a Zoom login and password into the chat. I will just keep it open for an hour, and whoever drops in will just answer questions. Our team will be there, and we'll see you then. If not, we'll see you submit your stories and proposals, and we'll have final selection between June 15th, June 5th, and June 15th communicated. And so that information will be forthcoming. All right. Well, thank you, everyone.
Hey,
Have a
Trina.
wonderful day. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, looks like there was one last question.
Okay.
I know this has come up with other opportunities too. So, if in the example of taking a group out, um, can the funds be used for transportation to the venue, especially if it's for the Indigenous community from an urban community? That's a great question.
That's a
So if they were
great
to bus
question.
folks from the city out to the event, it sounds like.
Oh, that's a good question. It doesn't cover travel stipends, but does it cover the travel, the bus, right? I would please submit it. I would submit it and we'll review it. I'll say that, yeah. Go ahead and submit it. Um, and again, hone in on who you're transporting, what are they getting out of it, where are you going? Is the event they're going to is the event transporting, providing an experience? What are they receiving from it? Hone in on that, please. And then, but that kind of RFP, yeah, it sounds very unique and encourage you to submit.
Okay, and then I'm sorry I missed one in the Q&A. They were curious if they need to submit receipts as part of reporting afterward.
No, you don't. You don't have to submit receipts, but we do want a a budget report at the end, and if you're selected, we'll be forthcoming with those requirements. And if you are selected ahead of time, I want to share and be transparent. We do ask for like media release forms. We do ask for W-9s if you're individuals to get completed. We do ask for nonprofit status, a lot of things. So it just really depending on how you submit your proposal. That is how we will communicate the requirements with you. Any more questions, Caitlin?
Not that I'm seeing, just seeing lots of thank yous. Thank you all for your questions.
Yeah, thank you, you all. Again, our team open doors on Monday. So we'll see you then. If not, we'll see your proposal and good luck, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
RSIO.